Michele Kondakor.
Thank you. Obviously there's an awful lot in this then, so I'll only just pick out a few bits that sort of came glaring out at me. One is on the page 37. I'm very concerned with sort of the number of FOI requests and complaints that aren't dealt with in the correct time. I just don't understand what the issues are and things, and certainly with things like complaints, if you haven't managed to sort out things, you know, just a quick email to someone saying, you know, we're still looking into it, and what have you, and things, we haven't forgotten about you, and things, you know, it would count so much. Take that from personal experience. Moving on to the big chart on page 39. Regarding the timing wall, I mean, it's actually probably a good thing that it's actually going to not be costing as much as it, you know, what was going to be, but it's still too much, in my humble opinion. But what I'm concerned about is, like, the last 2 days, Active for Life on their Facebook has been saying, oh, you know, this wonderful thing about climbing and things, and climbing is great. You know, I've done it, you know, for years, and I love climbing. But I've spoken against having this climbing wall right from the beginning, as you're probably aware of me. On this Facebook post, you know, promoting it, it says, oh, you know, find out where it's going to be and what have you. Click on the link, it says absolutely zilch about where it's going to be. So we need to actually get the marketing spot on, because we could actually make more money.
Could you tell us what are you speaking to and what is?
The climbing tower contract, 32,000.
Well, it's not on page 39, it's a different page.
Well, 38 on the thing, sports development, 31,858, and then it's mentioned again as exceptions on page 60.
Page 60 should be.
But yeah, we need to be actually maximising all these things. It's no good promoting something and then you click on the link and doesn't have any of the information and half the links within that are dead. The Civic Hall still seems to be costing, you know, an enormous amount of money, far more than it should. And what on page 41 on the bottom there, it says the annual survey of patrons showed that 91.25% are satisfied with the range of all shows offered by the Civic Hall. It's no good surveying the patrons, those are the ones that are already there. You need to survey those who don't go and find out why they don't go, and so you're actually getting more people, you need more throughputs to get more money coming in. You know, it seems ludicrous to only be, you know, surveying those who already go. Can I have a little bit longer because you actually queried what mine...
I'll give you another 15 seconds then.
The response rate for the parks, I mean, it shows a lot of improvement in things, but it's on a very small number of things. So, and of course, people are more likely to complain than they are to compliment. So I think you need to just make sure that that is a real improvement in satisfaction there.
Okay, thank you. So, do you want to say anything?
No, Chair.
Anybody who wants any points of clarification for the speaker? No? Another speaker, Councillor Kondakor.
Thank you, Chair. It's incredible that on page 61 the link to the risk register. If you follow that link, there's 2 new massive risks for the borough plan. The people on this panel will not discuss this unless obviously they ask me a question about it. We have the biggest part of our £500,000 loss is waste and recycling. It's an absolutely massive number, £500,000. Half it on green waste, half it on composting. And this council really should be working as a shared service or a waste partnership to actually reduce the risks from waste. Waste is such a massive part of this overspend and such a massive part of our budget. And being a small council, trying to do it all on ourselves and having 6 waste contracts in Warwickshire is horrendously expensive and horrendously risky. And we have the green waste changes, which are supposed to bring this deficit down, that have been poorly thought out. I'm really disappointed that the Conservatives aren't calling in the increased green waste charge, but it is a very important issue. We could around Warwickshire save £1 or £2 million by doing waste as shared service. Instead, we're going down this route of emergency charging for green waste in a really, really poorly thought out way without environmental or a equality impact assessment. Also in this report is the capital programme for the housing. £14 million programme on page 59. We have only spent 3 million of it in half a year. If you only spent 3 million and 14 in half a year, your programme is miles and miles out of kilter. My wife mentioned the climbing wall. This was mentioned 2 weeks ago at the Cabinet as a spending item. And Philip Richardson was asked then about the finance of it. I asked again at audit, and I sent an email to ask. I still have not had a definitive price for what the climbing wall will cost this year. Yet again, poor performance. There is so much in this report to be worrying about, and so little time to go through all the items. But yeah, we are in a right mess, and the risks are going to get worse. ITV have just announced that JLR are not going to order any new parts for 6 months. The economy is turning down, and we need to seriously be looking at our risk register, seriously looking at these budgets to actually see how we're going to survive if there is a downturn and a recession coming. Because the country is in a right mess, and this council is being well mismanaged. Thank you, Chair.
Any point of clarification from
Yes,
the Speaker?
one, Chair, two actually, Chair. One is in relation to the green waste and wanting to have a consensus and have one authority. Is Councillor Kondakor not aware that most of the authorities in Warwickshire actually refuse to have the joint waste disposal and collection as one whole service? Because that's what's happening. In relation to the climbing wall, Chair, I'm sure that Mr Richardson actually gave Councillor Kondakor a figure for the climbing wall at the audit committee on Tuesday evening.
If I can just clarify, Chair, I gave Councillor Kondakor the budgeted figure at audit at the Standards Committee, but I have since written to him with the figure. He may not have picked it up yet because it was only early this afternoon.
In terms of green waste, I am aware that we aren't cooperating, and that needs to change. The green waste charge in Hinkley, for example, is £24.
I said across Warwickshire, Chair.
And on the climbing wall issue, that we do need to get these things properly priced up and actually have open access to information. And
Thank you, Councillor. It's open to the panel. Any questions from the panel? Councillor Evans.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Philip, for going through that. It's very informative as usual. With regards to the Freedom of Information request on page 37, I submitted an FOI a few months back, but it was late. I accept that on some occasions it might be late if an officer's on holiday or off sick or is having to wait for information, but I didn't get any sort of communication from the council to say, look, we are still handling your request. It is going to be delayed slightly. Can we look at trying to bring that in? Because just for us to be more open and transparent with the public, I think that's needed.
I couldn't agree. I was going to say disagree, but I meant agree. I can agree with you more, Chair. I will take that back with Chris Tideman. The process is meant to be that if the information is going to take some time to compile, then we would normally notify the person who's requested it that there would be delay and inform them of that and seek their agreement to a date by which we would provide that information. So if that's not happened, then that needs to be picked up.
Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. There are a couple of points within the report which concern me greatly. I think Councillor Kondakor must have an undisclosed talent of either clairvoyance or telepathy, because he doesn't actually know what the Conservative group or I'm actually planning on doing with regards to the green waste. Perhaps he would want to declare those in his register of interest if he does have those talents, but I think it might be far wider the mark in terms of what we are looking at. But he does raise, and this is a concern that I do share with him, about the impact of the proposed changes to the green waste collection, because when you look at pages 42 and 43 of the report, it looks at the waste collection and recycling collection. These two pages, come February the 1st, will be essentially completely redundant, because we are not going to be having a greater proportion of total waste recycled and composted, because we are expecting only 32% of the existing residents who use the service to continue using the service under the new charge. So I would expect that total waste recycled and composted across the borough to go down, because you are reducing, by very definition, the pool of people who will be composting and recycling. So that target needs to be reviewed and scrapped, probably. We will see, in all probability, and this is from discussions I've had with the executive directors, on page 42, it says that the figures for the amount of waste going per kilogram of waste, household waste going into landfill, a lower figure is good. We are likely to see that figure go up, because we're going to see more green waste go into the black bins. And this council does not seem to care one jot about the impact further on up the chain, because whilst we are not the disposal authority, by putting more green waste into the black bins, more money is going to have to be spent by the county council in actually disposing of the green waste which is not being disposed of adequately. And likewise, we will see changes in the bottom table on 43 about the amount being recycled. And Councillor Kondakor is absolutely right, because I have spoken to the executive directors. Not one single equality impact assessment has been done on this proposal. Officers know it will disproportionately affect certain sectors of our community, but do not want to put into print which areas those will be, because they cannot say with any certainty, but they are likely to be the areas of greatest deprivation, because people cannot afford those charges. So we are breaching our own corporate policies and aims and objectives, which are at the very front of almost every council document we produce, and is about to be reviewed. So I think perhaps we should be framing pages 42 and 43 for posterity, because we aren't going to see the like again in all probability under the current regime. On page